economy right now. I mean, we're competing with India, China, Brazil, Mexico. If we put artificial, is there any discussion inside the Beltway about us putting artificial constraints upon our ability to produce products and compete in a world market through cap and trade or other kinds of costs, and the effect that that will have on the rest of the economy and the nation? Or is that just something that kind of slips under the rug from folks who are passionate about an issue but haven't conducted the cost-benefit analysis all the way through?
Well, certainly there are going to be unintended consequences and ripple effects. For example, there is right now a steel plant whose plant is economically obsolete. If the U.S. passes cap and trade, they will build that plant in Brazil. And so it will interfere with the costs of steel for construction in America for things such as wind energy towers and solar panels and some of the trace elements that are required in solar panels and wind energy is being put off limits. There are so many ramifications.
I got a question about, sorry, it's technology. I've got a question about, I'm a divorced father. I've got to have health insurance on my children. What's going to happen when and if this reform goes through and I can't get health insurance on my children? Am I going to be hit by the state?
You won't be able, if you don't have health insurance through your employer, you will go on, excuse me?
I'm the employer.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, there you go. That's the small business person who is really put in a tremendous box as a result of this bill. There are penalties and surcharges if you don't have insurance. You cannot get it through the private sector if you don't have it now, because the private sector new policies for individuals will be cut off. So you'll have to go on the public option and pay a penalty and surcharge for the privilege of doing so. So you can have health care government style.
What if it's not good enough for the state? What if the state says this isn't good enough?
They will have the federal government will look at your policy and see if it meets with their approval. And if it does not, they will force you onto the public option. It is very heavy-handed when it comes to small business, very heavy-handed. Yes, sir.
We didn't in Wyoming elect this mess.
Right.
The rest of the nation did.
Yes.
But Obamacare and cap and trade, I think, are just a small drop in the bucket of what we're looking at in 4 years.
Yes.
So how do we put a stop to this in Wyoming or nationwide? Because the snowball is rolling down the hill, yes, and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Well, I talked to Eric Cantor, who is a congressman from Virginia. He is the minority party whip in the House, and asked for an amendment to the big Obamacare bill that would allow states to opt out of the bill. And I hope when I go back in September, if there is not a suitable substitute to the bill, and if the bill's going to move forward with a public option that cuts off the availability of private insurance, that states would have the right to opt out. And I think that would be a very popular idea with bipartisan support.
We as a small business have just a few employees here in Wyoming, a few employees in Illinois, and we can't have health insurance on our employees in the two states. Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
part.
that would bring the cost down.
Isn't that nuts? And that's why Mike Enzi has come up with a plan to allow for insurance to be obtained across state lines by groups. And it is a wonderful proposal that Senator Enzi's had for a long time. It is part of the Republican bill in the House, and I'm sure he is working hard to promote that provision in his Senate negotiations. That would solve that problem. You know, if you adopted the entire NC 10-point plan, it would solve every problem. It really, with healthcare, he's talked about affordability, accessibility, pre-existing conditions, cost, leveling the playing field for those who have tax deductions because they're...
You're funding it from money we don't have, from the bail on money. That's money we don't have, so you're funding it.
Good point. Good point. Well, anyway, I strongly urge you to drop an email or a note to Senator Enzi and encourage him to incorporate every provision of the NC 10-point plan that he possibly can into the Senate compromise bill.
I really appreciate your comments in support of small business. I manage a small business here in Gillette. We have right at 50 employees. We do offer health insurance to our employees, and we do need some help in the cost side. And I hear very little other than the comments you just made about reducing costs. Currently, a family policy in our company costs over $19,000 a year.
Wow.
And we pass about $5,000 of that back to the employee, and our company pays a little over $14,000 a year for the employee. That's one employee. We have been proactive over a 5-year period. We worked with the local hospital and the local doctors. Our premium is less today than it was 5 years ago.
Good.
So we are proactive, but still, it's almost unaffordable for both us as a small business and also for the employee. What else other than insurance across state lines is being considered to help reduce healthcare costs, not just accessibility?
Well, here's something that I advocate. As a small business person myself in our ranch, annually when we get the premium notice for the next year, it jumps up considerably, but if you don't commit, they give it to you the day before the insurance is going to expire. So you don't have any chance to go shop around for a competitive health care plan because you don't know until the day yours is going to expire what the increased cost is going to be, so there's no time to shop. That should be illegal. So our current system needs reform. I believe in healthcare reform. I just don't believe that government can do it better than the private sector. And I thank you. And I do believe that there are certain tweaks in the system, such as the one I just made, that would allow you to go out and do some comparison shopping based on some standard set of deductibles and so forth. You know, our cars are as portable as we are, and if you watch TV, there's an ad that says, here's how much Progressive insurance costs, and State Farm insurance, and Allstate insurance, and Geico insurance, and you can pick, and it's online. Why can't we do that with health care? So it just seems like there are some systematic improvements that need to be made short of government taking it over. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the Republicans' option on pre-existing conditions. Could you explain that a little more to me? I mean, what the plan is?
Now that does include a financial support for states to pool people who have pre-existing conditions. So that's where the costs of the Republican plan that I'm co-sponsoring are used. It would provide monies to states to either create pools for these so-called uninsurable, or provide those people with the opportunity to shop for insurance of their own. And it is, in a way, it's subsidized because it is recognized that that is just a problem that we can't figure out a good solution to without some public funds.
I think this is going to have to be your last question.
Okay.
Okay, my next question then is, isn't that kind of a reverse insurance if you're putting all the ones with a healthcare problem into a pool and making it so that that one pool is pulling out? I mean, everybody's going to be pulling out of that pool, where insurance is you put everybody in one big pot and the healthy people help to make it so that it's not so expensive for the people that have something. So what you're kind of doing is really making it tougher and harder if you put the ones with pre-existing conditions into one big pot by themselves. Wouldn't it be easier or maybe more cost-effective if you made them be integrated into all of the insurance plans, to where they couldn't deny the coverage because of the pre-existing condition, throw them into the pot where there's a bigger pot to pull from and not everybody's taking all the money out of the pot?
Well, to me, it makes more sense for people to get their own insurance before they have a condition, and then they have the insurance go with them from job to job and be portable, because it's really not fair to an insurance company to wait until you have a condition that's very expensive and then force the insurance companies to absorb you, because they'll just pass the costs on to the other insureds.
Well, I understand that, but the problem being, if you have your insurance with your employer and something happens to your job, then what are you going to do? You don't have a choice. Like, that's for me. That's my situation. And so if I were to go somewhere else, I know the insurance companies would look at me and, you're out of here. You're no way. And so that's where my concern is, because I have insurance right now.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yep. You have a legitimate concern.
Cynthia, on the 1,018 pages, what pages have you got to that talk about tort reform?
Tort reform? No, I have not. Can you enlighten me?
No, I was wondering what pages that we might find that on.
There's no tort reform in the Democrats' bill.
Wouldn't that be the biggest cost, one of the biggest cost savings?
You know, it varies from state to state. Some states that have passed tort reform have lower malpractice insurance costs, and so more physicians can practice here. You know, it really has more to do with availability. There are physicians from Wyoming who, because we don't have caps on non-economic damages, choose to practice medicine elsewhere in states that do. And so I think it really has more to do with availability of physicians rather than costs. However, both the Republican bills that I've seen have some tort reform components to them. And I believe that tort reform should be state-based. I got to admit, I'm a states' rights girl. But it is true that when we defeated the cap on non-economic damages, that there were physicians that were practicing in Wyoming who found that they could have lower premiums on their medical malpractice in other states, and it may have influenced the departure of some of Wyoming's physicians. All right, I am deeply grateful for your kind attention on a warm summer evening and your thoughtfulness, and please know that Senator Enzi, Senator Barrasso, and I are there to serve you. Your feedback is helpful to us. I am proud to serve with Senators Enzi and Barrasso. They're doing a magnificent job for Wyoming in the United States Senate. And I want to also acknowledge at least two of our Wyoming legislators are here today, Tom Lubnow and Timothy Hallinan. Are there any others? Please stay in touch, and I'm going to try and run and see if I have any of those cards that have the website that you can access for ideas about how to how to become an activist in a way that makes a difference. Thank you all for being here this evening.
Thank you, Congresswoman Cynthia Lummis. I've got a couple more people to thank, and then I'm going to turn the time over to Russ Gardner. He's with Urgent Care, and he's going to tell you just a little bit about Urgent Care, and then we'll be doing some door prizes. So I'd like to thank Dakota Steel. They're the ones that helped us move all of these things over here today, the chairs and the things that are waiting down the tent. I'd also like to thank the county for loaning us the tent for today, ICM for helping us out with the water barriers, and Haggerty's Music and Sound Works for our sound system today. So I'd like to thank all those people. We can't put these things on without the help of our great business people in this community, and so we'd like to thank them. Russ?
Thank you, Congresswoman Lummis, for coming out. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Dr. Hallinan, for being here. I'd like to touch on a couple of things that Representative Lummis said. One, public entities cannot do things more efficiently than private entities. Even in Campbell County, we have a public entity that's competing with private entities trying to run them out of business with unfettered access to do so. Mr. Lovenow, Dr. Hallinan, Representative Lummis, let's make this illegal. Public should not compete with private. The second thing, I've long been an advocate for what the NC plan calls for, with allowing small companies to join together to buy health care. There's strength in numbers. The insurance lobby has been very successful in keeping small businesses from doing this. I'm glad to see the federal government finally has their eye on this, and they're looking to make a change in that. Thank you very much. It's a long time coming. The reason we had this after hours tonight was to launch our new occupational medicine program. Gillette Urgent Care has the only comprehensive occupational medicine program in Campbell County. We can do physicals, we can do work management, we can do drug screens, audiology, any pre-employment testing, any annual testing, work injury management. We're the only place that can do it all 7 days a week. So we'd love to have your business. We'd love to have the chance to earn your business. Give me 1 second here. I apologize. Since I've come back and consulted for Gillette Urgent Care, I've listened to what everyone has said. There have been a few issues with Gillette Urgent Care.